Amber here. I know. It's been a bit since the last of these character information videos. Sorry about that. I never meant for it to end up being such a break between. It just happened that way. I got caught up doing those phone wallpapers of another set of my characters. Anyway, now that that's done, I can get back to this. Yay? I think it's a yay. Anyway, this week is one of the longest lasting in my character collection. He's had a good number of reworks over the years as well, but I think I like where I'm at with him now. His name is Rene Calder, and he may look human, but he really isn't. He's just bound to human form because for so long all he wanted to do was blend in and take them all out, one by one. And by them, I mean humans. Now, that is still part of his early story, as in it was his original goal, but he has grown into much more of a character since then. While he still sees plenty of fault in humans and overall hates them, he can now admit that there is some good in the species. Obviously, as he ended up falling in love with one. Alright, I need to back up a bit. Renee here is a creature which is of my own creation. And the best way to sum it up, because I have not properly designed it yet, is something akin to a kappa, merfolk, and shark influenced creature where it's like all thrown into the melting pot. And I call them Lantha. I'm still working on the official designs for them, but that'll come later because creatures are not my specialty. I think I may have mentioned that in Anna's video. Her video is in the link to her video is in the description below and up in the card. But I'm not sure if I did mention it or go into depth or anything. Regardless, Rene, before being bound to human form, was a warrior. He had a family, a love, a child, everything. And then the war with the Dradens happened, and that lasted a decade, maybe. Need to officially decide on that. And destroyed the populations of both the species involved. Now, another point. Dradens. I'm pretty sure I brought that up in Anna's because she's largely Draden. They're another creature of my own design. Anyway, sadly, Rene survived, but his family did not. The rage, the hatred that he felt towards those that had caused this. The rage, the hatred that he felt towards those that had caused this result was most certainly more than I think I can adequately put words to. He made it his mission to find out anything and everything about where the Dradens were hiding. He wanted to obliterate every last one of them. This wasn't a fight he was fighting for the sake of his species. Now it was personal. He was out for revenge. Before he could, though, he learned something from one of his fellow warriors. This entire war had been orchestrated by the humans. They had manipulated both species to such a degree that a war between them broke out. That is when Rene's target changed. He took to watching, studying the humans and their primitive, as he thought, ways. He found everything he could about them, all of it being ammo for the attack he was sure was to come. He wanted them off the planet. He wanted to obliterate and eradicate the entire species. However, he did not know how. He started by drowning those that dared to swim in the ocean that he called home. And he did manage quite a body count from that. It wasn't enough, though. He needed more. He was working too slowly for the species to not be able to catch up. So, through happenstance, he met with a woman, Nakia Remington. A woman said to be extremely powerful and proficient with glamours to the point of being able to seal someone in a permanent one. I admit, the complete anything for the first time they met isn't completely figured out. It does end with Rene being locked into a human shape, which was exactly what he'd wanted. However, when he made his way back out to the water, he realized exactly what he'd done, and how it was that he couldn't return to the depths of the ocean again. It was worth it, though, for the cause for his family's death was going to be in trouble. He knew how to take a life, after all. I won't go into detail about the early years of him being in the shape of a human. It's dark, depressing, and most certainly not YouTube friendly. There are drugs, alcohol, theft, murder, attempted murder, and even more. It took a few years before he realized that this would not work. Every time he was arrested and locked up, it was slowing him down. He needed to figure out a stealthier method of eradicating the ever-growing numbers for the human race. So, he took to studying. He was studying the human race, built himself up from nothing, and eventually, he realized something. No one blames or faults a surgeon, seriously, if something goes wrong in the operating theater. It was not easy, but eventually he managed to get his degree and make a name for himself. He made sure to do well. He wanted to make sure that if he killed a few people along the way, that it would not be suspicious, so he could continue collecting a body count. At some point, he also realized that he had reliable access to prescription meds and to a hospital pharmacy. Sure, that last one was a bit more tricky, but he could get in, and it wouldn't be too difficult. He did realize that he had to be careful, though. If he screwed this up too badly, his human eradication plan would fall through. He needed this job as a surgeon. So, time passed, and he continued to be a surgeon and sell prescription drugs on the side, but at a cheap rate to get more people hooked. He knew that was a wrench in the human race and figured that this was a far more subtle way to do it. That's how he met his cousin, too. She'd been looking for something to dose her adoptive mother with, as the woman was a terror to her, apparently. And yeah, again, Anna's listed, card, description, you'll find her. And yes, hers is another one with all this info if you wanted to give that a listen. Renee did work with her as they both realized that the other wasn't human. They got quite close to the point that they surprised themselves with how much they connected. He was the one that she ran to when she killed her adoptive mother, and he protected her as much as he could. I've covered the basics with this in her video, which, as I said, card, description, you'll find it. Eventually, Anna left. Renee moved on and tried to find her. Over time, surprising the hell out of himself, his murderous urges started to fade. He had seen a good amount of, good over the years, and it chipped away at his resolve. He still sold drugs to the underbelly of society, but his operation record and such improved immensely. It all changed even more when he met Kaylin. Some might say the stars aligned. Something within him changed, something in his very core, and he found himself wanting her, but not physically. He wanted her everything. He just wanted her in his life, and it had been a very long time since he had felt that. He found himself falling in love with the Harvard law student. Thankfully, she returned the feelings, but that will likely be covered more in her video later. As it stands, I think this one is already a touch on the longer side. Although I'm looking at my time, and no, it's not. It's actually one of my shorter ones, I think. So, I'll give a little bit of info. Kaylin and Renee, they met because Kaylin ended up attacked. There's an entire thing about her at school, but long story short, she was attacked, basically left for dead, and ended up at the hospital. Renee was working Emerge and met her, treated her, One thing led to another, a friendship grew, and it snowballed from there. To the point that after Kaylin graduated from Harvard, after she passed her bar exam, she wanted Renee to come back to Canada with her when she returned. And he did. He just up and left his life there, moved it to another country with no qualms. And their life just goes on, and they even have a kid together later. But, as I said, a lot of the details regarding her meeting him in school and whatnot will likely be in her video. No, I'm not sure when that'll be. Anyway, it is nice to get back to these character videos. 3 months of the other characters was a bit longer than I had intended. I'm happy to be done them, but I'm also happy to be back to these. Sorry, I'm happy to have done them, but I'm also happy to be back to these. So, thank you so much for stopping by and listening to me. I know I tend to ramble, and this could probably use more information, but thanks for listening regardless, and I'll catch you in the next video. Catch you on the flip side. This is Amber out. See ya.